and we'll provide you the environment that allows you to promote and highlight your students as well as your program. But in Recruit Me, my job is to go out and find those universities that have limited budgets, those colleges, junior colleges that have limited budgets, but are in need of athletes and high caliber students. And when we find those groups, we'll find out, well, first, do you have any athletic opportunities available? If they do, a student can go to Recruit Me, and similar to the schools, whichever program that particular college is looking for individuals on, you can click on their icon and a brief ad pops up. A little bit about the team, a link to that school. In addition, a coach may appear and say something like, hey, we're looking for a left-handed pitcher who throws 75 miles an hour. If you meet those qualifications, give Coach a call at this number. So now you have a direct qualification for what they're looking for and who's looking for it. So a young pitcher who happens to be left-handed now has hope in finding an opportunity to play at the next level. Let me go right back to our PowerPoint and finish up, guys. So to get started with Fanpalooza, I would need you to do three things. The first thing, I need somebody in your booster club to become our app administrator. One person who's willing to learn Fanpalooza technology, learn how to input the information, sit down and get a personal training. If you're willing to do that, we're halfway there. The second aspect of Fanpalooza is app installation. Again, the roster is not something we type in. The roster is something that we generate by having the parents come in. We'll go into a computer lab at your school, and we'll load up your entire roster of individuals, and then they'll have their particular player profile. And hopefully, with the parents' assistance, they can create something that's enticing to not only themselves, but maybe even some collegiate institutions. Finally, all you have to do is download the app. The app is available. It's in the iTunes store. It's free, and we'd love to have you. So, I'm joining Fanpalooza. All I really need to know is who is your president, and are you willing to partner up with Fanpalooza? That is it, guys. That's my presentation. Stop it. You're too kind.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
I have a question about FERPA, under 18-year-olds, pictures of them, that kind of stuff. What do you know about? I don't know anything about it except every day I have to take a new online sexual harassment, diversity, children under 18 training.
Yes, ma'am. We found the information to be murky in that whole realm. The parent needs to be responsible for it. So similar to young folks who have Twitters and Facebooks, they're not supposed to.
Right.
It's supposed to be a parent behind that, but of course it happens. It's why we use the Booster Club to partner with the parent, so then it's their responsibility now. So if a parent starts it, which is our hope, then now parent, you know your child has this account, you need to monitor it. I have run into a few coaches who are concerned that, hey, what if my kid goes Rambo on here and puts a lot of craziness? Well, the booster president has the ability to nullify any account. There's a quick back end that you can stop it. There will be a small amount of time where that account can be up and craziness can occur, but that's with anything, always when you're dealing with young folks. But the answer to that is to put the onus back on the parents, and that's why we try to get them involved before they ever get an account.
On the same note, have you developed any forums for the booster clubs so they know guidelines, like in terms of what's appropriate? Just a simple sign off?
Yeah, so
So they can pass that on?
I didn't do that, and I should. We were under the assumption that, and you're so right, that we're just providing the environment, the booster clubs providing the content. Every year, booster clubs create the following, and we're just making it electronic. But
Right.
yeah, there is some holes in there.
Right, I
So
would
maybe
just so
there
they
is
have that
some-
guidance right off the top of what's I mean, we know what's appropriate and what's not, but actually just putting it in writing and then passing that along as part of the program.
That's a great point.
Yeah, even have people sign it, right?
Right, exactly,
Yeah,
that's what I was
yeah.
thinking.
What would we call that? There's a name for that, right? That the write-off and
A release.
A release
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow through, as you get deeper into this and have an attorney actually help you figure out where your liabilities are. And, cause
Do you know
that'll
any-
be the most sensitive thing among high school, teachers, coaches, parents, is,
Right.
where's this stuff going?
You came in a little bit late. His wife was Shayla.
Yeah. I figured that out.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you saw it.
This is
His
only
name,
the second
his name
we've
is kind of
gone over
small
that.
up there, so I didn't know if you saw that.
We'll definitely put her to work.
I'm confused. How are you making money? The ads, of course, but are the colleges paying you to be able to recruit? Who's paying you?
That's a great point. So there's two different aspects. Now, I've been doing this maybe for 2 weeks now, talking to different organizations. Our initial pool was as a fundraising tool for booster clubs. Every booster club now has to finance their endeavors. And the partnership are the ads. They basically have sponsorship relationships already. As a football guy, we've come to find out that many of our sponsors are disappointed with the feedback they get from their ads here. So my first thought was, how can I improve that for you? So if we could put it in a place that you'll see it more often, and then make it interactive for you where you can actually click on it if it's something you like, then we thought that would add value, right? So initially I began talking to booster clubs and extracurricular activities about helping them raise funds, and that money conversation really seemed to turn off a lot of folks. So I stopped talking about that. I pushed it to the back, so I didn't even mention it. But that 50-50 partnership, any ad that the booster club can generate, they get 50% of the profits, the other 50% goes to Fanpalooza. But then I thought, well, if I can just get enough people using the app, then maybe I should go out and look for the advertising. And not even mention that to the program, unless they come to me saying, hey, we want to do a fundraiser, can you help us? And then by all means, a basic ad on a program is like $400. So I would tell any of the organizations I'm dealing with in this first year, you could sell advertising space on this app for $200, the headers and the footers. The player pages, they're not going to be as heavily seen as the team roster, team stats, but those are the feel-good moments, right? Hey, little Johnny has a page, needs a sponsor, I'll sponsor it, $50. A team like Champaign Central with over 75 athletes, each athlete gets one sponsor, all of a sudden you raise $3,000 easily. So that's where the money was. I stopped talking money now because it seemed to make people a little uneasy. So I wait for them to talk to me, which is why now on our form it says authorized person, just to catch their attention when we're signing and say, hey, what's this? Also, if you need some help with fundraising, we have a profit sharing program that we can talk about later if that's something you're interested in. So I don't really mention that too much, but I make it visible enough so that maybe they all ask me about it and we'll go from there.
Do you know from the potential advertisers that you talk to how many impressions you have to show them in order for them to get interested?
I do not. And that was the beautiful thing about starting this up from the beginning was that the majority of the advertisers in our programs and our ad books, they weren't because of the viability of the ad. It was just the support of the program. There's three reasons why most companies were supporting Champaign Central football. One, for those who are involved with the football program, they wanted you to know that Jimmy John's has your back, right? Two, somebody who's on the team, parent owned the company, so they supported the program. Somebody on the team knew somebody who owned the company, and so they supported the team. Basically, many companies were initially advertising with us just because we asked, right? It's the football program. 2,000 people come to a game every once in a while. Sure, we'll support you. So now my thought was, don't stop doing what you were doing. Don't stop this. Don't stop the banner ads. But in addition, provide some extensive value, some additional value for your companies by putting them on this app, which we hope gets to the point it's a place that they go to quite often and adds value for you.
Have you thought of your approach as an extension to the regular advertising? So when my company gets calls, which I do all the time, place an ad, support the local team, they always say, we've got this many going in print, we've got this many people who are going to show up at the game, so I've got a sense for the number of impressions. And if there's already a base for impressions, and you say, you know, for an extra X dollars, you could also get an online version. You might consider like an extension of an online version, rather than trying to start off on your own.
Outstanding. Oh, yeah, right now, we're blind. We're blind with the numbers. We have no idea how popular this could be.
Well, that's
So
one suggestion then, is get some numbers, because people will be looking at them.
maybe I couldn't use, for instance, like Instagram and Facebook. Those numbers are just too ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, there
Who
is.
would I possibly
Well,
benchmark?
So like for Google, right, Google ads, it's all about how many clicks,
Mhm.
right? And then it's how many you actually buy.
Mhm.
And then you get a percent back depending on how many buy it,
Mhm.
right? So what I see is if I click on Jimmy John's and I order $8,000 worth of food for the whole team or whatever, you get a percentage of that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Not, yeah, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that to me is where most ads are going, and I don't know how you set that up, but that's how all Google ads are.
You have to embed some code from a
Yeah.
particular company into your app.
So that they
I'm-
know it's
I'm
from
4
you.
years with Yahoo, and basically you have to program it in. So then that group or company collects those clicks. But
And they know it came from you.
they know it came from you, it's all boilerplate, they just hand you the code.
What's the next step for you? What are you trying to do now?
Right now, I'm trying to get users. I need extracurricular activities using this technology to be on Fanpalooza. I don't care why they're there. I just need to get them there.
And so
Initially,
how
I was
many
looking
people
for
are
partners.
telling you no right now?
Two. Yeah.
And why are they telling you no?
All right, so my first one, I'm just not interested. It was that I'm a cold caller.
Right.
Every coach is bombarded with new fundraising ideas and ideologies. That's why I became a publishing company. Now, we don't do fundraising. Initially, I was just one of many fundraising opportunities for your organization. Then I realized, well, maybe we change our mission to become the archiver of your high school experience. That's different.
So, you know, just kind of responding to this from the perspective of somebody who would be a potential investor in the company, I think that first of all, you should do as much research as you can. I assume you've been doing quite a bit of it, but I've been seeing people do this, or versions of it, for quite a while now. There's a lot of apps, document your football career, you know, there's a bunch of things out there. And it's a market that everybody who is into high school sports or the whole college recruiting process, especially when they're trying to give smaller colleges with smaller budgets some way to compete for good athletes with the schools that have the big budgets.
Sure.
I mean, I've seen lots of people trying to do things, and hardly any of them ever get any traction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there is something out there about this market that makes it really hard to, you know, get any kind of critical mass.
Sure.
I don't know what that is,
But
I think it's something that you really kind of need to understand and try and figure out. Is there like a specific way I can break through that wall?
We need to kind of
Right,
cut off.
but Will has talked to me a lot about coolness factors in many things. And so I want to make sure that you talk about coolness factor.
Well, I think two things you have that's right at your disposal are, which I know of your family, your daughter is a super marketer, extraordinary. When you talk about Fanpalooza, that immediately puts me in the mind of Lollapalooza and all these big social music and events. There was a disconnect from what you're trying to do in the name. And the biggest aspect, I think, about what you're attempting to do is the social aspect of it in creating the hype. The athletes and the players are the hype. And if they're not using it and creating the critical mass, you know, the advertisers want to be around where the numbers are at. And so you have to create the tool using your greatest two resources in the house that you got to then create, how do I get folks that's at that party that show up 1,000 strong to log in and sign up? And then how do they start sharing their experiences? Once they start using it and highlighting what they do, whether it's in music, sports, whatever the case may be, to tell their own narratives, that's where the things will come in. And that's where you can start looking at the many avenues to different revenues.
And that would be a good thing for you to follow up on after that. So, okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you guys.
Is it okay if they use